back vibe, baby.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, where we explore the journey of recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. One story, one conversation, and one step at a time. I'm your host, Joe, creating a safe space for honest discussions about the challenges and triumphs of addiction and alcoholism. In each episode, we'll hear inspiring stories and uncover tools that make healing possible. Sobriety is not a one-size-fits-all journey, and you don't have to face it alone. Recovery is possible, and it's worth it. Thank you for joining the Cup of Joe Show. Now let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cup of Joe Show. I'm your host, of course, Joe, and today I'm excited to have my guest, Jamie Kay. She's been walking the path of recovery since September 21st, 2013, and with over a decade of sobriety under her belt, Jamie brings a deep appreciation for life's simple joys. A proud sister, dog mom to Bella, and cat companion to Rocky and Layla, Jamie has built a grounded, vibrant life filled with music and connection. You often find her at concerts from punk to Americana and chilling with friends or unwinding at home, proving that recovery doesn't just bring peace, it brings joy. So please grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. Jamie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm impressed at how interesting you made the couple of things I told you sound. Good.
Well, thank you. I also have a secret weapon. Jamie and I have a mutual friend, Dave S. And so I had a little extra help.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. I was like, wow, that was really good. I didn't give you much to work from. You did great.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your willingness to share your story. So tell me, what was it like growing up, Jamie?
Growing up, Jamie. Okay, so I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, which, okay, I know that you're in Tennessee, so I'm going to elaborate a little bit. It's in California. It's LA County, and like a lot of people, you'll hear it. I did not feel like I fit in. I had a hard time fitting in, but again, it was probably just my perception. I felt like people like I just didn't fit in. I was a very hyper kid. My dad died when I was very young. I was 5 months old when my dad died. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. He had gone to rehab. He left early. He had a 5-month-old baby. And unfortunately, he didn't know the solution. He didn't have a solution. And he could not see his life with or without alcohol. And he took his life. And I was 5 months old. And, I grew up very resentful because of that. But thank goodness, having worked the steps in my program and, being an alcoholic myself, I'm able to see that he was just sick and that it was nothing personal, nothing because I didn't understand how someone could do that with a child, but I get it now, So I had a stepdad. It's my sister's dad. And he came in my life when I was 4. And he did the best he could as well. But I got told to sit down and calm down and just a lot, And then I'm in school being told to calm down and stop talking. And, I was one of those kids that would get A's, but also I'd get U's, the unsatisfactory, because I talk too much. And I still talk too much. But, I'm getting told, you're so smart, but you just need to stop talking so much. But then at home, I'm asking for help with homework from my stepdad. And he's saying things like, how do you not understand this? This is an easy math problem. Are you stupid? So I'm confused. Am I stupid or am I smart? I don't understand. I'm getting mixed messages. So, I was just very confused from a young age. But getting told to calm down, be quiet, just never fitting in at work. At school, at home, at just, and then my mom, she walked on eggshells. She taught us to walk on eggshells. Don't upset your dad. I called him dad growing up. Don't upset your dad. Your dad's on the phone. Be quiet. Calm down. So I'm just constantly I took walking on eggshells until very recently as a survival thing, So that was mostly my growing up is just being told to not be who I was. Sit down, calm down, stop talking. Are you stupid? You're not stupid. You're too smart. It's like, what? It's just very confusing.
It reminds me of, because when I was growing up, I had I compare it to like I grew up Catholic, but it was like, at one hand they were like, "Oh, your father Joseph, you're so, they think I'm going to be this priest or something," and on the other hand, they're telling me God's going to punish me, and it was like the yin and the yang, and you just it was like the thing that came to my mind was thinking like it's the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde already starting. You know what I mean? I'm smart. Yeah. I'm not. I'm this. I'm that. And anyway, so when was the first time you felt like the effects of alcohol or drugs? Would that come into your life or early?
So I definitely will start off by saying that I think I was an alcoholic. They talk about how, you hear about some people with their drinking, it sets off in certain behavior. Either they drink normally for a while or they cross this line, or, I truly believe I was born on the other side of that line. I never drank normally. And I actually had alcoholic behavior and tendencies before I ever picked up a drink. Like I would lie for no reason to my mother. I just had these certain behaviors. And, but my first drink was when I was 14, and I just regular party at school, and I blacked out the very first time I drank. I have never drank normally in my life from that moment. I'm a blackout drinker. It was Steel Reserve and Boone's Farm. I don't know why I decided both of those were a good idea, but I did. And I blacked out. Probably blacked out 99.9% of the time I drank as well. So from the start.
What was like in your family? What was there? I know you talked about your father some, but was your mom or your stepdad? Was there drinking? What was the relationship with drinking growing up?
So with them, there was always drinking, and I think that's because they were unhappy. So they kind of drank to numb that out. And then I'll find out later in my life that my whole dad's side of the family, who wasn't around when I was growing up, a lot of them there's alcoholism and addiction in my family. And I'm so much like those people that I had never even met until years ago. Like, it's definitely not, it's genetic as well. Like there's just no, but yeah, I did grow up with it around as well, because like I said, I feel like that's kind of, it was just there. And I feel like they were unhappy with each other. So they were drinking to kind of tolerate each other. Mm-hmm.
So you're in high school, you're a blackout drinker. Did you start getting consequences right away, or was
consequences? Yes, but also not really. Like never legal trouble, but I would get in trouble. So I didn't end up finishing high school. I was going to school. I was drinking a lot. I was getting drunk. It got to the point where my mom pretty much told me, because she's a teacher, she just retired, and a lot of teachers drink, and she knew some AA. Oh, she knew some people in the program that drank and that were sober. And at 17, I went to my first meeting because she pretty much told me you can get out or you can get sober. And so at that point, later on, I chose to leave. But, I did go to my first meeting, and I did, that's all I did, is I went to a couple meetings, and that was my first introduction. But obviously at 17, for me to have already been introduced to sobriety, something was happening. I was blacking out. There was one time where, I was being so obnoxious with these people that I was drinking with my age that they ended up leaving me outside of my apartment complex, and I wandered off. I was found passed out in a gutter, and the police got called. They had to take me to a psychiatric unit. My mom had to come get me. Like, it was just this cycle of these things, but I was never in legal trouble. So it's kind of easy to just like brush it off once it wears off a little bit, in that sense, I got away with a lot.
What Well, your mom reached out to you. What was it like? Well, 17 going to your first AA meeting, like, or first recovery meeting. See, there you
Oops.
get me. You get me,
Sorry.
Jamie. No, it's not. Just kidding. It's all good. But what do you remember? Any impressions that it left with you?
Yeah, I was 17. So I looked for the people my age, looked for the cute boys, because obviously that's what I was interested in. I remember thinking, I knew I had a problem. So I knew before that even happened that my drinking wasn't normal. My friends didn't all black out like me. I'm a very angry drinker. I lose control of my behavior. So I knew that there was an issue. I just didn't know that I was an alcoholic and that it was something that I couldn't stop on my own or rectify on my own. But when I went to the meetings, I didn't really see the recovery part at 17, because it's like, there's no way. I'm 17, never even turned 18 yet. I haven't turned 21 yet. I haven't been married yet. There was no way. So then I just found the people my age, found a boyfriend. We both drank. It just wasn't. No, I was not ready to hear any message yet.
So, so what, I guess what happened, how did your life kind of unfold, 18 and up? How did that?
How do we get closer to where I am now? Okay. So,
yeah,
well, so when I was 17, 18, I just continued to drink, and it continued to get worse. I moved out. I obviously didn't move out on my own. I didn't have my life together to do that. I was hanging out with other people that were drinking. I did my first geographic when I was 20. I moved to my grandma's. She lived in Arizona. And my grandma, my mom's mom, just very naive, Of course, I'm thinking it's the valley that's the problem. It's California that's the problem. I'm going to move. Well, hello, it's me. I'm going to take me with me. I'm going to find the same people. So I'm drinking again, and I'm drinking with the same people, and I'm drinking the same way. And I drink and I drive. I behave in ways that I should not be behaving. I'm lucky I did not kill myself or anybody else, but I'm coming home with flat tires because when I drink, I like to ride the curb. It's just what I do. I don't know why. I'm telling my grandma I don't know what happened, and this little Jewish woman believes this, and she replaces my tires. And, these are the times that I don't have consequences where it would have helped me to have them, and grandma just doesn't see it. She doesn't see it. But all this time without consequences, whatever, I still have that, the impending doom. Every time I wake up, I feel it. The incomprehensible demoralization, where I wake up and what did I do? Who did I upset? Where, so I didn't have the consequences, but I still was feeling, I knew I felt gross. So then when I turned 20, did my second geographic, and I joined the United States Marine Corps. And that, if you don't have your drinking under control, that's probably not where you're going to get it under control. I was in trouble right away when I joined. Right out of boot camp, I was getting in trouble for my drinking. But even then, I was not facing serious consequences. I went on deployment. I couldn't drink, but I found I was taking Ambien and drinking Robitussin and doing these things that it's like I couldn't even go 7 months without altering my brain somehow. I could not be in a sober state of mind for 7 months. Not even 7 months. The Marine Corps sent me to rehab. That's like one of my favorite lines. If the Marine Corps thinks you have a drinking problem, you probably have a drinking problem. Like, they sent me to rehab and I did not stay sober. Like, So yeah, that was like the height of my drinking.
I was just saying, here's your sign, but we don't see the signs. But,
no, it's like I knew, but I didn't know. I knew, but I thought eventually the delusion was real.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, were you noted? Like, did you know at this point, or did you just think, eh?
No, I knew I had a problem. I knew it was getting me in trouble. I think what I didn't know was that there was no turning back. I really thought that someday I was going to be able to control it or find this magic trick or something, you know, how we want to control and enjoy our drinking. I really thought that maybe I could do that. You know, I black out 99% of the time. The 1% I don't, I'm like, oh, I figured it out. Like insanity. No, you did not figure it out. Like, so I knew I had a problem. I would say I was an alcoholic. I just didn't know that meant that I was never going to be able to drink normally without consequence. Yeah.
So what was the turning point? Like what brought you?
Okay, so we have a few minutes, right? Okay. So, you know, I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm lucky I don't get kicked out. I have people looking out for me. I get out of the Marine Corps, and right before I get out, I meet this man, and he's a Marine as well. And I'm in North Carolina, and I also discover painkillers. And so that's another thing. So instead of switching from scotch to brandy, I was like switching from alcohol to opiates because, you know, I'm not blacking out. But then I'm just mixing and whatever. So we get out of the Marine Corps, and I'm living with him and his mom in North Carolina. And he's a good man, very good guy. You know, we take hostages, right? He was my hostage, you know. And I put him through a lot. You know, I was not a good wife. We got married like a year after being together, and I was not faithful. I was a terrible wife. I was drinking. He's not one of us. He is a completely normal person. And he did not know what to do with me. And my mom would say things like, you're going to help her kill herself if you just keep replacing vehicles or not making her deal with consequences, you know. And he would say, like, I love sober Jamie. And my mom would say, you do not know who sober Jamie is. We don't know who sober Jamie is, because I was just not sober. And it was getting to the point where I would quote unquote be sober, but not sober. And I was huffing computer cleaner and having seizures and doing this at a job and getting fired. It was getting worse and worse progressively. So this is 2011. I get out of the Marine Corps. So between 2011 and 2013, I'm drinking. I'm, you know, he's finally like just he's not really making me pay any consequences, but he's just, you know, so I'm going in and out of the VA. I go to rehab for the first time. It's a state-ran rehab. And at first, you know, like always, I'm gung-ho. I'm going to do it. I'm serious about it. And then I'm not, you know, and I'm passing letters to and from someone in rehab who's not my husband. And I leave rehab with that person. And I do drugs that I said I'd never do. I pawn my ring, and I'm in a stay by the week motel, like things that, like, even talking about them now, I'm like, who was that? Who was that? But I'm also not delusional. I know that could be me again, you know? So my poor ex-husband he drops his college class so he can come on family, you know, week, whatever. And he comes to see me and I'm not there, and they have to tell him I checked out. Like, these are the things I put this man through. And, you know, I end up calling him, and I come home, and then I decide that I just don't want to be there anymore. And I go to a sober living. And the sober living, I still, like, 1 minute I'm ready and I'm serious, and the next minute I'm coming in drunk, or I'm getting hospitalized because I'm having a seizure in the bed because I'm inhaling things. Just the insidious, it's just a cycle. It's a cycle. 1 minute I'm super serious, and the next minute I don't know what happened, you know? So I go to this halfway house. I'm there, and it's a women's halfway house, and then there's a men's halfway house, and they're owned by the same person. And they've given me more than enough chances. And then I meet this guy who's in the male halfway house, because, you know, there's always a guy, because I need validation. And, you know, I've left my ex-husband, and we decide after like 5 months of being together and not being sober, but both living in the halfway house, like, why don't we just rent a room somewhere? So we're going to rent a room somewhere. And then we decide, look, we're going to drink. And if we ever want to go back to meetings, we can go back to meetings. And meetings are for people who can't find friends anywhere else. Cool. kind of true. I'm okay with it now because that's where all my best friends are from. But we're like, it'll always be there for us. We'll go back. Okay. Anyway, so we're drinking. He's working. I'm working. Neither one of us have a car. When he's home and I'm working, I'm anxious. What is he doing? Who is he talking to? Just so toxic. And then when he's working and I'm home, same thing. Both of us like opiates, but we're quote unquote doing our best not to do them. So we had done them like 3 times in the 3 months that we had been renting an apartment. And at this time he had been, shooting me up, and I've only done it 3 times. And it sounds silly to say that now, only done it 3 times, but it wasn't like a regular thing. So I'm at work one day, he's home, and he texts me and he says, do you want to get high? And I say, no. Instantly, I text him back, actually, yes. Okay. Well, I get off work and he's supposed to come get me, AKA walk to my work and walk me home because we don't have a car. And it's raining and he's not there. And I'm pissed because like a week before he done the same thing. He was passed out drunk. And then, at this point, I'll weaponize anything. Oh, you owe me now because you're drunk and you didn't let me in the house or whatever. And so I walk home and I'm texting him and it's raining and I'm just, all right, he owes me. Well, now I'm locked out of the apartment. The person who rents the apartment or rents us the room is in New York. He's visiting family and I can't get in and it's raining. And now I'm more pissed. So I'm just sitting there fuming. Okay. He's going to wake up and he's going to feel bad. Right. At this point, I don't really have any friends because we've isolated ourselves, not talking to anybody. And I'm just sitting there and 1 hour turns into 2 hour, turns into 3 hours. So I start to throw like lighters and stuff at the window, flip the breaker switch. And I'm so irritated. I could use my tip money and go get a room somewhere, but then he's going to accuse me of whatever. So I don't, I just sit there. And after a few hours longer, I start to freak out and someone says, why are you outside this late? And that's when I realized something must have happened. And they helped me break into my apartment. And that's when I had found that my boyfriend at the time had passed away of an overdose on our bedroom floor. I don't know if it was while I was at work. I don't know if it was while I was stuck outside. What I do know is that when I agreed, he probably went and got it. And like any addict, alcoholic, whatever, he probably wanted to get high before he came to get me. And then we split it. I know that's what I would have done. Let me get some before I come get you, And unfortunately, that's what took his life. And that was September 21st, 2013. And that's my sobriety date. So that is all the other things that I've been through, the things that I've done, the rehab in the Marine Corps, the not staying sober on deployment, what I put my ex-husband through, all those things. None of those were enough for me to like actually do what is suggested. But me coming home and finding that, I don't know if I drank the day before. I don't know if I drank 2 days before, but I chose that date because I know that day I did not use, and that date will stick in my head forever. So that's what ultimately got me here this time. And that was almost 12 years ago.
Wow. That's so what was the first steps you took like towards recovery after that? Like, you know what I mean? Where did you end up?
How did I get from there to here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I like the way you put things, Jamie.
Well, like I said, I had nobody, and I'm in North Carolina, and the only thing I could do was call that ex-husband, and he came and got me because he's a good man, and he came and got me, and I called my mom, and a couple days later, I was on a flight back to California. My mom made it very clear, if you're going to come live here, which I'm grateful for because she did not have to let me back. I was 26 years old. You're going to live here. There's going to be some rules. It was like a sober living. You're going to go to meetings. And, I had gone to meetings before. I had gone to rehab. I had done certain things, but I never worked a program as outlined. Sponsor, steps, commitments. I had never done that. So I I signed up for outpatient at the VA, signed up for grief counseling at the VA, and I started going to meetings right away. At my mom, of course, my mom told me I had to, but the one thing I share is like, I've been desperate before, I've been willing before, but I've never been so desperate and so willing at the same time. There's such a small window to take action, because sometimes it's just so easy to be like, well, it wasn't really my fault. I didn't tell him to do that. Or, it's so easy. But I was so desperate and so willing, and I took action in that perfect window that's what worked for me. And, I started going to meetings right away, and I got a sponsor right away, and I started to work the steps right away. I got a commitment right away. I was finally willing to do what was suggested. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this is the first time I've done that. And I have almost 12 years sober. There's no coincidence there. Like, it works. Hello.
So what was like some of the toughest parts of early recovery,
Oh, one is the grieving, but two is I didn't follow direction all the time. Like, I got into a relationship early, so I'm grieving, but then, like I said, I need validation. So I got into a relationship early. That is not easy. I'm lucky I stayed sober, but that's not easy. Sobriety, especially early sobriety, is hard enough. You add like relationship issues to that, it's harder. Now, that's the person I ended up marrying. Okay. And divorcing, but it doesn't make it much easier. But there was also things like I would bicker and fight with my mom. And I remember telling my sponsor, like, she doesn't appreciate that I'm sober and that I work and that I blah, blah, blah. My sponsor's like, whoa. You want her to appreciate? You don't get a pat on the back for the things that you're supposed to do. Like, that's not how this works. Those are all things that you're supposed to be doing. And I was like, oh. So I was just very raw, very sensitive, learning how to live life and grieving. And then I didn't always take every suggestion. So of course, we don't always have to take, I say it even now at 11 years, I don't always take suggestions, and that's fine as long as I'm willing to deal with the consequences of not taking suggestions, which is sometimes not very fun.
No, not even a little bit. So what was surrender like in the process?
Oh gosh, can you read this on my arm? I'm not good at it. It says
he has let go and let God tattooed on her arm.
It says let go and let God, and then there's a little hole with just an arm and someone holding a white flag, because that is me. So I usually don't surrender until I'm almost completely buried. So I got this tattooed on me not that long ago. So if that tells you anything, it's that I'm still practicing surrender. I'm a stubborn person. I feel like actually it was probably a lot easier for me in the beginning. It was a lot easier because I was a lot more desperate. And now that I'm not as desperate, I kind of have to wait till I'm a little bit more desperate till I'm like, okay, fine, take it. Fine. It's yours. You could have it. Yep.
So, I mean, you got sober relatively young. I mean, 26 is still very young. So was there a stigma attached to that?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. And I think, and there was nobody in my life either because I know a lot of people, they have people in their life that are like, why are you sober? Should you be sober? Not one person in my life that knows me questioned my sobriety. Not one. They're like, that is great.
There's another sign right there. Yeah. So, who were the people, or were there people that played key roles to helping you get sober, keeping you sober, especially early on,
Well, it was definitely my mom, because I lived with my mom. She let me, like I said, she let me come home. She didn't have to do that. I don't know where I would have went. And And I know that I was not easy to deal with. I wasn't easy to deal with growing up. And then there's my stepdad, who my mom and him, I was already out of the house when they got together. So he didn't really know me that well. Like, he knew me, but not that well. I didn't live there, you know? So for him to agree to let me come live there when all he really knew is like the chaos that I caused, that's a huge deal too. Like, the amount of gratitude that I have for both of them letting me come back home. And then I have a little sister. It took a while for her to come around. She's 8 years younger than me. That was big. But my mom was a huge part of it, because, like I said, and for her, I came home at 26 after my boyfriend had died of an overdose. You know, she was around that age when my dad had taken his life. So she probably had to relive, like, watching me grieve, even though it wasn't the same, because I didn't have a child. Like, I'm sure it brought up some feelings in her, you know? So.
Yeah. So what helped you stay committed on the tough days?
You know, as silly as it sounds, I don't feel like I really ever saw it as an option anymore. I don't really feel like I've had a time where I was like, where I felt like I wanted to drink, or where I had to fight going out. I think that's why it's so important to build that foundation as soon as possible, because there are going to be hard days. You know, I just, like I said, I think it's because I was so desperate that I really did not like, and because of what happened, I don't think there was any, like, the obsession was removed instant. Like, I did not want to drink. I did not want to use. That life is what took this person. You know, there was, meetings. I was like so involved in the meetings and the fellowship and the steps that there were no days where I was like, this is a little too tough. I think I didn't have to contemplate anything. I had hard days, obviously, but never did I have to convince myself or find a reason to stay.
So what have been some of your best successes since you've been sober?
Oh, that's hard. It's hard to talk about. Because I don't know. I will say, and I'm going to toot my own horn on this, I was a good wife. So unfortunate. So that guy and I got married. So this has nothing to do with the success, but I'm going to share about this because I think staying sober through something like this is important to talk about. So we got married, and I won't say it was a great marriage. Again, when you get sober, who you pick at 90 days sober, and this is not to bash on this person at all, but who you pick at 90 days sober is not who you would pick at 10 years sober, you know? And you're also not the same person, and that's why. And but I will say I was terrified at what kind of wife I would be because of the kind of wife that I was the first time when I was using. And I will say that I was a really good wife. We had a great sober wedding. The wedding wasn't sober. We were sober. There was alcohol there. And I think I don't know if that's a success, but I was a good wife, you know? And then unfortunately during COVID, he stopped going to meetings, and I kept going to meetings, and then he got injured. And and he had more time than me. He had 4 years more than me. That slowly, I felt like I was in the twilight zone, but I slowly watched him. You know, first he got hurt, and then he was taking CBD gummies, and then CBD gummies turned into THC gummies, and then that turned into a full-blown relapse. And I watched this in front of my eyes, like, and that was I just jumped deeper into my program. And unfortunately, we ended up getting divorced, and then I found out some more things outside of that, like he had been unfaithful. And I had never, ever suspected that. But staying sober through that, let me tell you, not one time did I want to drink through that. But that is why it's so important to build a foundation, because I can't even imagine staying sober if I had just gone through that with like just white knuckling it. I don't know, but that's a success to me. But I, I went to school in sobriety early in 6 months I went to school. I got my, I got certified in ultrasound. I didn't end up doing anything with that, but that's a success. I didn't even finish high school. That's a funny story. So joined the Marine Corps, got out of the Marine Corps, went to sign up for college, and they're like, oh, by the way, the GED you thought you had, it was some online program. That was a scam. Now you really have to get your... So I went through the Marine Corps with no high school diploma or GED. So I had to go back and get my GED. But, during COVID, I became a personal trainer. That's something that I did. I'm trying to think. That's a hard one. I feel like that's a rapid fire question, even though it's not. It's hard for me to talk about successes. I don't know. Oh, big one.
Well, I know. Oh, go ahead.
Living alone. I have never lived alone in my life. Huge for me. I went from my mom's house to grandma's house to the Marine Corps to back to mom's house, or to the living with my ex-husband, the first one, and then the second one. And when I got divorced, I moved into my own place for the first time, and I've been living alone for 2 years this month, and it is amazing. So that's a success to me, is living alone and liking it.
Well, and that's important, because that's change. We change. As we continue, we're able to do things and see things that maybe we weren't. So, what's the secret to you living alone?
I don't know that there's a secret.
Let me say that.
What's that?
I meant comfortably. I didn't mean like, oh, well, the secret to living alone is being alone, but like comfortably, being comfortable with yourself is what I meant.
I don't. I think that maybe walking on eggshells for so long, like growing up and then in my marriage, and knowing so much that I didn't want that, and then moving in and being by myself, I realized I didn't have to do that anymore. It's just it's so peaceful. Like if I wake up irritated, it's my fault. If I go to bed irritated, it's my fault. I'm just so calm and so peaceful here by myself. I enjoy my own company. It's just nice. I have 2 cats and a dog, so I'm not really that alone, but it's just
they're
serene.
Yeah, that's cool. So what role does service play in your recovery now?
So so since I've gotten sober, I've never not had a commitment, even if it's a small one. I always have a commitment at a meeting, big, small, whatever. Right now, I'm the cake person at my Friday night home group. That's only once a month. I go to the meeting Fridays, but the commitment's once a month. But then I just got voluntold, so now I'm going to be the co-secretary of my Monday night meeting, because I got asked if I would do that. And of course, since my sponsor was right there, I'm going to absolutely do it. So now I'm going to be the co-secretary of my Monday night. So I always have a commitment, big, small, whatever, that keeps me tied.
And you mentioned sponsoring people. So for people who may be listening that may not know, what is a sponsor to you? What does it mean to you?
So a sponsor. So I have a sponsor, and I sponsor 3 girls right now. So a sponsor to me is someone who, and it could be different for other people, but this for me is, I have a sponsor who goes to meetings, has worked the steps, and takes me through the steps. And now that I've gone through this, I've gone through the steps 3 times, this sobriety. And now that I've gone, and she's somebody that I can go to. And again, people are different with this. I know some sponsors who say, like, I don't care about anything other than the book. My sponsor's not like that. I can go to my sponsor for things. It's a guide. It's a mentor. It's, I've heard someone say a sponsor is someone who translates the book for you because you don't understand it. But to me, a sponsor, yeah, I liked it too. Yeah. But for me, as a sponsor, my job is just to take a newcomer through the book and through the steps as they're outlined in the book, and guide them as I was guided. Teach them what sobriety is about and what it looks like, and how to just day-to-day things that seem difficult for someone who's new, just to help them through it.
I think that's a pretty good explanation.
Thanks.
What's what's a typical day in your recovery look like?
In my recovery? Well, so I'm a terrible, what's that in my life? Okay. So let's just, we'll go with a Monday, because that's the day that I actually do stuff. So on a Monday, I wake up. I'm going to be completely honest. My prayer life is very lazy. I pray in bed. Sometimes I fall asleep while praying, and then I wake back up and continue. But I do pray. I pray every morning, every night, and sometimes throughout the day. So I wake up and I pray. I make sure to always, thank my higher power, and I ask God to keep me sober, and I pray for my family and my friends, and, 3rd step prayer, 7th step prayer. I keep it simple. And then I do not like to just get up and go. I am not someone who likes to do that. So I wake up about 2 hours before I have to go to work, and I take care of the animals, and I sit down and I relax with a cup of coffee. I don't meditate, but that can be considered meditation, I guess, because I don't just zoom off to work. Sometimes I work out. Sometimes I work out. Sometimes I don't. I work at an eye doctor, a normal 8 to 5, which I love. And on Mondays, I get off work. My sponsee comes over at 5:30. We go through the book, and then we go straight to our meeting. And then I come home, and I don't like to go straight to bed. I like to end my day like I like to start my day. I like to sit down, decompress, and then go to bed. Simple. I have a simple life, and I like it.
And that's important. You mentioned I'm like that too, where it's like I have to have like at least 2 hours in the morning where it's just like it's my time. I'm up before anybody, and I have my certain routine and the things that I do. And I do think sitting and it may not be a real serious meditation, but I think it is a meditation to sit and drink coffee and collect your thoughts, and so what's your like spiritual life like, or or your connection with a higher power, and what does that mean to you in your recovery?
So I'm spiritual, not religious. I don't have any I wasn't raised with any organized religion, which I think is helpful. I know a lot of people come in and they have a hard time with the concept of a higher power because they just have a bad view or a bad experience. I didn't grow up with any religion. So when I came in, I also wasn't an atheist, though. I knew that there was something bigger than me. And that's where I'm at now. I definitely believe in God. It's very simple. It's not me. I know it's not me. I believe in a higher power. I don't know what it looks like, smells like, talks like. I just know it's not me. And I definitely know that it's there.
That's fair enough. And so if there's someone out there listening right now who maybe is feeling hopeless, what would you say to someone who maybe thinks they're beyond help?
That's a tough one, because I don't think anyone's beyond help. I've seen some people that maybe I even thought was beyond help at one point and completely turn around. I think that it's hard because I know when people come in it's hard to not sound culty because I know how much I love sobriety, and I know how much I love what the program has done for me or a program can do for someone else. And like I really want, like I would just want to tell, like sometimes I just want to shake people because I know that they like people could get it if they just gave it a chance. And I know people and I hear people are like, that wouldn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. And I just want to shake people, like, because I know what it's done for me and I know what it's done for other people. But if someone was beyond help and they were willing to take some kind of suggestion, I would just say, you know, it's hard for me to say just meetings because I know that's not for everybody, but that's my suggestion because that's what would work. That's what worked for me is I would say at least go to some meetings, listen, take some suggestions. Like, you know, it's what we hear people say all the time. And I do repeat what people say a lot of the times, but it's like, just listen. And, you know, people who don't have a higher power, that's fine. Just listen, you know, it's hard, you know, because like I said, I just want to shake people because I know this program works. I love the people who say it doesn't work for me. Does it not work for you or did you not work? Like, which one is it? But no, I don't think there's anyone that's beyond help. I've seen some pretty twisted and mangled people turn their lives around.
Me too. And I think we're a couple of twisted and mangled people who have turned our lives around, honestly. I mean,
well, Dave.
Yeah. And Dave. Ooh,
yeah,
sorry, Dave.
I'm not.
You can listen to Dave S.'s story, by the way. He's he is. I do have his story recorded as well. So after you listen to Jamie's, go and listen to Dave, and there's a connection. One thing you said, Jamie, I was thinking like my old sponsor would, you know, I said, you know, when you feel like you're being brainwashed, he said, if you drink and drug like we did, your brain needs to be washed.
Exactly. I agree.
What is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't?
Not that I can think of really, honestly, but I will say, like, if somebody is listening to this and hasn't, you know, is in the rooms but hasn't worked the steps or has been around a while and hasn't worked the steps, it's like that's where the freedom is in the steps, you know, like so cliche, but I can't go to the gym and watch people work out and get in shape. That would be wonderful, but I can't, you know, it'd be nice, right? But I can't, you know, just like I can go to meetings and get a little bit of relief, but it's a 12-step program. And if I want to work a program, I need to work the 12 steps. And it's like, that's where the freedom is. And like, as much as I don't want to look, I'll be the first person at a meeting and people laugh at me all the time where I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be on my couch. I'd rather be doing nothing. I love to relax. I don't like to speak. I don't like to do these things. But guess what? I do them because I know that the reward is so much better. Like, there was times where I didn't even want to drink. The idea of drinking alcohol made me want to vomit, but I knew the relief that came from it was worth it. Same thing with doing the steps, same things with walking into a meeting. Don't want to do it, but I know that the relief that comes with it is going to be worth it.
Well said. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story today, and but I can't let you go without our rapid fire questions, Jamie. I know you've been very stressed about this.
Anxiety.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. No pressure. So, are you ready?
No, but yes.
Okay. Good enough for me. What is your favorite recovery slogan?
Crap. That's not a slogan. I'm going to make one up and just pull one out and say it works if you work it. I don't know if that's my favorite, but let's go with that one.
The one you remembered. It's perfect. That you're going to kill me on this one then.
Oh,
What is
great.
your least favorite recovery slogan?
Oh, think. Is that a slogan? I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. I have to say, in the times that I've done people that think, I think is the number one answer. It really, it
Really?
would be
Because
my
we don't
answer
want to
too. By
think.
That's exactly why. So, what do you think is your sobriety superpower?
It's not a superpower. I was going to say serenity. That's my gift. I'm going to say that.
That's a good one. If you could say one thing to your former self, what would it be?
It's going to be okay. I'm sure that's a common answer too.
No comment. I'm just kidding. What song do you play to lift your spirits when you need a boost?
Oh, there's a song called Straight and Narrow by Sam Barber. It's a good one. It's sad, but it makes me feel good.
Okay. If you could grant yourself one wish to help with your recovery, what would it be?
Oh, can I just say permanent recovery? Okay, we're going with that then.
Yeah. What step do you love the most?
Oh, I'm going to say step 10 because it's actually my least favorite. But it helps me keep my mouth shut because I don't like to do it. It's a great motivator.
What step do you love the least?
Oh, crap. We're going to say 6 and 7.
What is one of your favorite movies?
Oh, Drop Dead Fred. I just pulled that out of nowhere.
Great movie.
Thank you.
Right. And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I was going to say, what are you doing here? But that's not funny. Just welcome. Just welcome. That's a good one.
Yeah. That's a pretty good one. The first one was good too, Jamie, by the way, for the record. Thank you so much.
How'd you get here?
Yeah. But I really appreciate you taking the time today to share your experience, strength, and hope. And I know some folks are gonna get something out of what you had to say today. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
For the rest of us, you're welcome. You're welcome. Please subscribe to our friends at thedailyponderables.com, your recovery source for inspiration and encouragement every day. A new episode of The Cup of Joe Show is released every Thursday at noon. Visit thecupofjoeshow.net, or you can listen to the show on your favorite podcast apps: Podbean, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and others. Just search for The Cup of Joe Show. Don't forget the "the." Please like, follow, subscribe, and share because someone out there needs to hear this today. Thank you all for listening.
It's just a laid-back vibe, baby.
We hope you enjoyed today's experience, strength, and hope. We are so grateful you decided to join us. Please share this episode with someone who might need it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, no matter where you are in your recovery journey, you are not alone. Reach up and reach out to someone. Please do not suffer in silence. Until next time, let's take it 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day at a time. Thanks for listening to The Cup of Joe Show.